everybody. Welcome to one of my most anticipated podcasts of the year. It is the Survivor New York season finale, Veterans vs. Contenders recap podcast with, well, first of all, we have a special guest, but we'll get to him later. First of all, we have Chris Lord, the host and founder of Survivor New York. Chris, talk to me. How are you? In the days I haven't seen you, how are you?
I know. It was like, what, was it last weekend? Isn't that crazy? It was
Literally.
just last weekend?
Yes,
Wow.
literally a week ago I was hanging out with you. So how's it
we
been
got a
since
picture
then?
together, so I am totally obsessed with our picture together. I need to post that on the Instagram. We like
I
good.
don't mess up my order though. It's very. I need to post the
I
next
won't. Okay, I won't.
podcast graphic, and then we can post it.
I
Thank you so much for being here, Chris, as always. But we have with us a very special guest from season 2. He is our fourth place robbed Wentworth goddess. It is Matt Eichel. Matt, how are you?
I'm good, Naomi. How are you? Thanks for having me.
First of all, I'm so glad to see you. I haven't seen you in forever, but I'm also so glad that you are still watching and interested in being here with us. And I cannot wait to hear what you have to say about this season, because I have no idea what the hell you want to say about this season. But most importantly, Matt, we are joined by the man of the hour. He let quarantine take him away to a lovely island, and we can't wait to catch up with him. It is Kyle. Kyle, how are you?
I'm great. I'm very excited to be here. I thought I was the winner. Apparently I'm not. But I'm excited to be here.
Told you?
Yeah, this isn't the winners podcast. I thought it was, but that's all right.
Okay. Yeah, I think you missed it. It was last week.
Okay.
It's okay. It happens all the time. Kyle, thank you for being here. We're so excited to talk about this. Kyle, I think first question out of the way. How did you find Survivor New York? How did you grace us with your wonderful presence?
Wow. I think I applied through Reddit. I found season 3 on Reddit, and I applied and interviewed for season 3. But I couldn't get any of my friends, because I used to, why I'm a veteran this season is because I hosted some games myself with just some of my friends, and they all got sick of me and playing Survivor and hearing me talk about Survivor. So they're like, no, we're not driving upstate with you to play a game. So so I couldn't get anybody to play with me. So then I applied again for season 4, and luckily I got on.
Yes, I love that. So Kyle, tell us more about these fake Survivor games that you made your friends do, because we really sort of threw you into the veterans category and was like, it kind of fits. But in a way it does. I think also playing Survivor with friends is very intense. So talk to me about what makes you a veteran.
Yeah, I mean, I loved Survivor and the challenge. Like, that was one of my favorite shows growing up. And I used to be like, we could do this, guys. So I would set up challenges in my backyard, and we would wrestle and we play, and hurt each other and be like, oh, this is fun, because we were in college. Who cared? Nobody cared. And then I was like, well, we should try a weekend Survivor game. So I set that up, and I made the error. I was like, I'm going to host and play at the same time.
What?
It was impossible.
How does that work?
Not well. Well, I got one of our friends' dad to actually host. I just kind of planned all the challenges, and then he hit idols and hosted tribal. Okay. But it was because I'm over here. I'm like, all right, well, I think they've had enough time to strategize. We should move on. So I had too much control over it. I was like, all right, never again. If I do it again, I have to just host. But I love playing too much. That's why I'm so glad, Chris, you did it.
I'm going to apply for season 6, Naomi.
Smart.
I'm going to play, and I'm going to host.
There you go. It's a lot, but you can do it.
The game is rigged.
Yeah, do you guys want an idol clue? Well, let me look at it first, and then just reading it, and be like, okay, I'll tell you about it later. And
I would
just
love
know that if you don't win, then you'll get made fun of more, because they'll be like, you set up this game and you still didn't win.
You're right. Maybe
and that's what happened to me. Yeah, right. That's what happened to me.
Matt, would you consider Kyle a veteran if he's both rigging and not winning his own games?
I mean, it's impressive to rig and not win. So maybe so. It's impressive to me that you'd be able to do that. But yeah, it's questionable.
It adds some authenticity to it. Yeah.
Sure.
No.
We know Jeff Probst wouldn't win a season. But okay, I'm so excited because Kyle, you were one of my favorite casting choices, and we talked about this to death. And I don't know if you really knew that. Did you know that I was stumping for you pretty hard in casting, and I think as everyone who is a fan of you in the season knows why I was right. So did you know that?
I did not. No.
Really?
I know. I kept saying it
though.
during the podcast this season, but I don't think I ever really expressed it to you.
No, I knew you. I think I remember like the beginning podcast when you're analyzing the cast. You said that you're an advocate, but I appreciate it. I definitely. It's very flattering.
Yeah, Chris was there.
She did. She did fight for you very hard. Like that casting process was really difficult. I think that was probably the most of any of the seasons, for sure. And she was right there. And I'll be honest, I knew the least of everybody, probably of you, Kyle, going into it. And I don't even think we really spoke much until like maybe day 2 much. And I am so mad because looking back at all the footage, it was like, oh my God, Kyle's making me laugh here. He's making me laugh here. He's making me laugh here. It was just like constant steamroll of laughter from you. And you were a great character.
Oh,
and Naomi was right. We should make t-shirts. Naomi was right.
Naomi was right. Yes.
No, in a similar vein, like I knew most of the people in the cast, and you were one of the people that I was not aware of. But like from the first episode, like you were one of my favorite characters. Just like watching it through again, it made me laugh in every single episode. So I very much enjoyed watching you play out there.
I appreciate it. I knew nobody. Yeah. Like that was always my fear. I think we talked about that during casting because I did watch like the other seasons.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it seems like a lot of people know each other when they play. Am I going to be at a huge disadvantage coming in, not knowing anybody? And I guess I was like, that's part of the, it's part of the game too.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's impressive though, like that you didn't know anybody and you did so well.
Yes, I think in my season I knew Dan and I met Dan a couple weeks beforehand, and I literally met Alex and Amy the weekend beforehand, but then I didn't know anyone else when I came in. Okay. So I knew a couple people, but still not most of the people I didn't know when I played.
I'll never forget though, because like I watched the earlier seasons. I watched 1 and 2, and then I'm driving there and I'm like at the house and I'm like, I think this is the house. This looks like the house. And the first person I see walking in the backyard is Alex. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm playing with Alex. Like, this is the guy that's been in like every other season. I was like, I guess he's playing again. So I was like, I knew him, but then he ended up not. He was just production, luckily.
You know what's so funny? Everybody says that. Like, I think for season 5, people are like, oh my God, we saw Alex. We're playing with Alex too. Like, everyone sees Alex and they go, oh God, we have to play with that guy.
Wouldn't it be so funny if we did like a fans versus favorites and we tricked everyone into thinking that they weren't favorites and they were just our crew helping out? I think that's a great twist.
That would be hilarious.
They would be so mad. They would be so mad.
And Kai Squared is here to say hello. Well,
hi Kai.
Hi Kai.
You hung out with her recently, right, Kyle?
We did. I went and saw her birthday with a bunch of our cast members.
Yeah, that apparently I forgot I was invited to, but it's okay. I still wish I had a happy birthday. Well, I want to get your opinion, Matt, because I agree with you that like Kyle comes so strong out of the gate in the first few episodes. What did you think? I think overall of the whole first pre-merge, pre-swap era of this game. Like I'm Matt, I'm fascinated to know everything you thought about this season.
Oh, it's interesting. So you find yourself on like the strong tribe at the start, which everyone hated, which I sort of relate to because my tribe in season 2, I didn't before the swap, my tribe did not lose a single challenge. So like I think I was like in the tribe that everyone sort of hated and wanted to beat too. So I sort of related to you on that end in terms of like being the tribe that everyone hates. But I was enjoying it. When you found the Pop-Tart sort of clue in the for the idol that Dresden already had, and Marilyn had missed the clue, I missed that. That was hilarious. No, I enjoyed watching it. I was rooting for you, and when you at the swap when you were with Andrea and then separated from Matt, Bennett, and Kai, I was worried about you, but you sort of found your way into the middle to survive until the end. So no, I was definitely rooting for you the whole time.
Like that was like the way to really describe my game. Is just finding my way into the middle every time.
Yeah, no, definitely. It worked for you until you got sort of when you the secret alliance between Paddock and Sarah sort of hurt you in the end. Where
that got me.
Yeah,
Matt, you're jumping the gun. There's so much to talk about in between.
Sorry.
Well, actually, Kyle, I don't know if you remember this. You came up to me on production to show me that you had found the clue. And I remember you had said, "Oh, I found something," and I was like, "Oh, what did he find?" I thought you had maybe found like an extra vote because sometimes Chris just puts things in that I don't know about, which is fine. Like I like to be surprised. And then you read me the clue for the idol that the Orange Tribe had already found, and that like everything was gone. And I was just like, "Oh man,
That
like
sucks.
he's not even gonna find it." Like
That was
so
like
devastating.
That was directly after the sandpit challenge too, and I was just exhausted. And I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I forgot I have an idol clue in my pocket."
But didn't the orange? So obviously the Orange Tribe found the clue, and then the Pink Tribe also found the clue. But I don't know if it was an editing thing or if this is actually how it happened. The Blue Tribe seemed to not find it until the next cycle.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Basically,
okay.
yeah, Kyle comes up to me after the digging challenge and is like, "Hey,
Okay.
production, I found something." And I was like, "Oh, maybe he found like, an extra vote." And then it was just
Because
nothing.
after that first reward challenge, I specifically said you guys have to leave your crates behind. They couldn't take their crates back to camp, so I had hid like the clue in one thing of everybody's thing. And it's interesting because it's like if maybe I hid it in something that they wanted to eat more than something else, maybe Blue would have found it quicker. But I chose their Pop-Tarts for whatever reason. I don't know.
Marilyn looked in it. She had a Pop-Tart. I don't know how she missed it.
That's also
and they
true.
were open too.
Hey.
Like
They were open. And
Yeah.
I was sitting at the table and I like picked up the Pop-Tart. I was like, there's got to be a clue somewhere in this basket. And I look in the Pop-Tart and I see it. So then I like put it under the table and I slide it in my pocket. We're all sitting at the table. I have no idea how nobody noticed it. And then I put the Pop-Tarts back. I didn't even eat one.
What food item was the Pink Tribes hidden in? Do you remember?
I don't know, because I think it was a granola. I think it was like a granola box.
Okay. Because I was like, Pop-Tarts sound the most appetizing to me, so that's like the one I would have checked first.
Yeah, and we got the worst, like, because we just wanted to win the challenge and the advantage.
Yeah, you had the worst food by far.
So we had like Vienna sausage and like I don't know, we had
the sardines.
You can thank Jessica Frazier for all of that because I sent her and Naomi to go shopping for those, and she chose all the gross ones. So
that was our strategy though. Like we just wanted the advantage. So like we were like, let's just sprint. You're gonna grab whatever you see first at the most first table that you can get it at. And it was just ours was just speed. We wanted the advantage. Like that was our strategy going into it.
Yes, and I mean it pays off, but in like this weird way, it also like hurts you guys. Kyle, when I just love like you give a lot of confessionals like we're winning, we're doing great, everything's going great. Was there ever like a thought of, hey, if we keep winning, let's just be Blue strong to the end? Or were you always kind of like, look, I know who I would vote out and who I wouldn't vote out? Like, how was your relationship building going at Blue?
I went into this game like I'm gonna make smart alliances. I'm gonna play Survivor, and then I think I forgot what show I was on at the beginning because then I was like, oh my god, I just became such a challenge mindset. I love both shows. So I was like, oh my God, I'm ride or die Blue. I love everybody on Blue. And then like I think this is why we got hated so much as Blue. I was like so loud and vocal during the challenges of like shouting, and I got a little rough in the sandpit because I was fighting for Blue. And then I got like, I didn't want to lose anybody on the tribe. Like, I mean, there was still the game within the game. Like I was like, as much as I liked Bennett, I knew he was a threat on our tribe, like going further. And but I knew to make alliances, but it's just like once we kept winning, we just felt so tight, and I didn't want to lose anybody.
Before the swap, I know you obviously you're on a tribe. It was just you and Andrea for Blue, so you stuck together. But did you have like a good relationship with Andrea before you guys swapped? Like, were you planning to work with her, or was she like sort of on the outside of?
I feel like she was on the outside only because my alliance initially in Blue was Kai was the first one I went to. I showed her my clue to the idol. And I was like, look, I really want to work with you. I mean, our names were so similar, so it just made sense to me. And then Matt was my number 2 after that. After Kai Matt was my other guy. And then we had Bennett as after that. And it's only because I kept Bennett at that spot just because I was like, at some point I'm going to want to get rid of him.
Right.
But I wanted Matt to be my bro. We were going to like hang out, talk about beer. Like it was awesome. And then Kai was my right-hand man otherwise. So like that was my core in Blue. And then Marilyn and Andrea were there. I didn't want to lose either of them because I had a good relationship with both too, but I was definitely closer with the others initially.
Yes. And I think that the Blue tribe is one of the most interesting like relationship-based tribes because everybody kind of becomes very tight, but I do think that it is like this. You and Kai are like the center of the storm, and then it's like Bennett and Matt are proving to be very useful to you guys, and then Andrea and Marilyn are proving to be useful, but not as much as Bennett and Matt. And it's like this great sort of like look at like how just a hierarchy of pairs can form in a tribe. But I love that essentially you get forced into working with Andrea by the swap, and it's such a funny relationship. As I said, you guys should go on The Amazing Race or something. Like, it is a perfect pairing. And for you, Kyle, like when you lost that challenge, I know that there was a chance that it was going to be Andrea, and then it kind of got switched to Marilyn. Do you remember anything about that vote?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. I mean, I was really distraught because I didn't want to lose, right? And I felt like it was on me, right? So I actually was like, almost, they're going to blame me for this because, you know, I didn't hit all the targets. I got like, 3 out of 4 and then couldn't get the 4th.
I mean, Kai didn't hit any, to be fair.
Right. She tried.
She tried.
But yeah, I mean, it came down to, because I felt like at some challenges, there's like who we have to work around the most, right? Like both Marilyn and Andrea were phenomenal at puzzles, right? We weren't losing the puzzles. What it came down to was like we had to sit out Bennett for something physical. So it was all right. Well, how do we work to keep our tribe strong? And I think in the end, it's funny. I actually don't remember it being much between the two of them. I thought at least for me, it was always Marilyn. Mm-hmm. And then for her, she thought it was Matt, and that's where I always thought the vote was. So that was actually something I kind of learned about watching the episode, how much Andrea's name was actually out there.
You learn something new every day.
Did you think that, because it seemed like Kai had ran that vote. Like it seemed like Andrea was leaving, and then Kai was like, no, we're going to do Marilyn. And then that's what it was. Was that, like, do you think that you were a part of that? Or do you think that Kai was really the leading force there?
I think that was probably Kai. I was going to do whatever she said at that point. And then, and I thought that whatever made our tribe stronger, like between the two of them. And then I think at that point, I think Matt was kind of worried it was going to be him. So if you watch that, like that round where we're strategizing, I'm really only talking to Marilyn or Matt. And I think I'm playing buffer for one and just trying to keep the other one away from most of the other conversations. I think that was more my role there.
I would say that's your role in a lot of this season. I mean, Matt, I don't know if you saw this, but I think, Kyle, a lot of what you did that was actually very effective, but it's also why you get labeled as like a schmoozer, right? Is you're always talking to the person who's about to go home, and you're always like, hey, man, I'll vote with you. Like, hey, do you want to do something just in case something goes wrong? But they always go.
Yeah,
Matt,
you got to always make sure you have.
I completely agree. That's exactly what I was saying, too. Like, you were always just like, creating angles for yourself, like again, working the middle, just making sure you had a good relationship with everyone. But however things shook out, you had like a path forward with that person. You tried to make it work.
Well, yeah, thank you. But that was kind of my goal going in, is like I wanted to make friends. You know, like I actually come the swap, I really had to shift what my game was going to be. But like going into it, I was like, you know what, I'm going to just give it my all at challenges. I'm going to make the tight alliances, and that's going to be that. And I'll use that to coast through the game. But then the swap happens, and I was really down in numbers, and I was like, there's no way. Like, I'm going to be the first gone. That's what I really thought. So I was like, all right, I really got to work whatever social angles I can do and try to put myself in better situations. And I feel like from there, that's kind of how I had to play. I had to kind of play from behind, almost like just keep myself safe was the only mindset I could do.
Right.
I was wondering, because I haven't had a chance to speak with you or Andrea's, why did you and her decide to go with original pink versus going with orange?
There was 2 reasons. One of them was Andrea was really like adamant about voting with pink. She liked them the best. And she was the person I talked to about it first. I was like, where do you want to go? We have 2 options here, and we got to stick with one, and they could just both turn on us. The other thing was this was like in between challenges after we lost that first one. I like had given her a look like, I think it's going to be me. And she whispered, talk to Emily. So, and then I did. I went and talked to Emily F, and we had a conversation about it. And I was like, look, I was told to talk to you. What can you help us out here? And I think, I don't know, I'm offering myself up as like look, I'll vote wherever you are. Hopefully that works. And it did. And then of course I tried to throw my tribe under the bus as well, where I was like, yeah, Bennett's running the show.
Right.
I'm a free agent. Just use me for the votes here.
And so did you have any like say or opinion in Dresden versus Liska? I mean, I guess we got to talk about this idol clue because you said it right before we went live, Kyle. Like you were there for everything, and you kind of were. Like you really saw so many major moments in the game happen, just the same way that like I've been beyond the final. It's like you and Andrea watched like so much of this game unfold. Whereas, like, Paddock went to exile, Sarah wasn't on this tribe, Jack wasn't on this tribe. You saw it all go down. So talk to me about the lie and then picking Liska over Dresden.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Liska too, because I was in the very much the save whatever we could to win challenges, and poor Liska struggled with the bola when we were talking.
Yeah, the bola.
And I actually had a good conversation with Dresden on night 0. So I felt comfortable with him. But I think it was Pink more that was freaked out by Liska's idol clue or fake idol clue. Therefore, it didn't click for me. She told the story. I was like, I buy it, whatever. That probably could have happened, but I didn't like look past it because I didn't think it was really necessary information that's going to help me going forward if they flushed it, right? Or if they did, they could have had it. But for me, I was so worried about where I was going to be in that tribe that I was sucking up to everybody, right? Like, hey, I'm going to carry this crate with Liska because I want her to think about keeping me safe. Or I'm going to go up to, Davey and Alejandro and try to form bonds with them and keep Andrea on my side too. Because I really thought I was done. That first tribal, I thought I was like, everybody hates blue. I'm one of the more vocal, bigger guys on blue. It makes sense to get rid of me. And I feel like that's how I felt a lot of tribal councils going. Like, this really makes sense for me to go home here.
So in terms of your story the bullshit story that you spread that Bennett was running the show and you were in the outs, did you coordinate that with Andrea at all or not?
No, and she got mad at me. She was like, you got to tone it down. And I was like, okay. Yeah. It's funny that there's different stages where we're like trying to keep each other in check.
Yeah, I was gonna say I love the idea that Andrea is the one telling you to tone it down at this point.
Right.
Yeah. She was like, "What?" I was like, "What do you think of that line?" I thought that was brilliant, right? And she goes, "Yeah, but you're overselling it a bit." I was like, "Okay, I'll stop."
cut to like 24 hours later. I'm just saying that to fuck with Bennett.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Yeah, that one. We'll get to that one. Yeah. But that was our relationship at the time. We were like, all right, we're blue. We're gonna stay blue. We're gonna go where we can keep us both safe. But like that was my brilliant plan was like, how can I get the target off me?
Right.
And I was like, well, I'll just blame the other guy on the tribe that was also vocal.
Right.
Did you have any thoughts about and also with Paddock joining your tribe, right? That's always a scary thing, especially when you only have 2 people on your tribe. You don't want to invite like someone else to be the power 3.
Right.
But was there anybody, I guess, you hit the swap situation that you weren't on a tribe with in the beginning that you either got to work with later or that you wanted to work with that you weren't able to because you weren't on blue together?
Yeah. I mean, that was also the reason why we got rid of Liska too, is because, we were scared of Paddock coming back, right? Like to have another 3-person trio on our tribe.
Mm-hmm.
What was your question?
Is there anybody that you weren't on original blue with that you wanted to work with at the start of the game?
I mean, I had good conversation night 0 with Sarah, and I think that's kind of why our alliance and relationship worked out later. She was somebody I talked to a lot. I mean, I talked to Paddock too. I'll never forget like that night 0. They both told me that they didn't know each other, but both had played in Survivor Michigan, and I was like, all right, that's cool. Totally believe you. And I did. And I was like, no, yeah, they were like, Sarah was like, I'm just graduated senior and she's a freshman or something. And I was like, all right, that makes sense. You probably didn't cross paths.
Yeah, who hangs out with freshmen?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Losers. No.
Matt, is there anything else you want to know about this swap situation? I mean, I have a couple more questions, but Matt, is there anything on your mind?
I do have more questions, but I forgot what they are at the moment. So you ask yours first.
Okay. Kyle, when it came to the idol plays, I think that was another moment where maybe if they felt like they could have easily voted out get a strong guy out of the game, but they didn't. They targeted Emily. Were you surprised that they targeted Emily?
You know what? I was initially, and then afterwards I was like, oh my God, that was brilliant. Like that was so smart because she was such a smart strategic player that was really in good control of our tribe. And I was like, yeah, I would have been the easy vote because then they could have maybe tried to work with Pink. But I think after the vote before it, they were more mad at Pink for not working with them because I got the 2 votes. And then taking her out as opposed to Alejandro and Davey, I thought it was really smart for them because it caused chaos. It really did. The only downside to that was then I think that's what really formed the bond between me, Andrea, Davey, and Alejandro.
Right.
Because like we went through that and we were like, shit, that was nuts. We got to watch this girl. She's crazy. And then Dresden, it was pissed at everybody. So I was like, all right, well, we got to like bond together and just work out together now because this tribe is chaos.
That's a question I have is we don't see anything from your swap tribe after Emily leaves other than everyone's surprised about the tribal council. What was that like atmosphere like with the 6 of you? And also, if you guys had lost again, would you guys have split the votes again, or would you guys have just voted all Dresden?
I don't think we could have. I guess we could have split the votes still there. Yeah. We probably would have done it out of safety. I mean, we were all like Davey and Alejandro were like panicked, right? Like they were upset because they were tight with Emily. At that time, like I was glad it wasn't me. And Paddock was somebody I always had wanted to work with. And I knew at that point too, my relationship with Dresden was pretty much gone because we just didn't trust I just remember a conversation he and I had where he's like, it was the round before and he goes, I can't trust you. You put my name down. I'm like, well, you put my name down too. So there was just like, there was no way we were ever going to trust each other. And then I did want to work with Paddock and I told her that I was like, look, I'd like to figure out a way to keep you safe another round. Like if we all just target Dresden instead. And then maybe we finally merge and then we can work together. Cause she was somebody I felt like a connection with and I recognized she was a good player. And I thought that's somebody I want to play with. No, go ahead.
Continue. Sorry.
No, I was just going to, we probably would have, I'm sure they're smarter than me. They would have figured to split the votes there anyway.
What did Paddock tell you guys when she came back from exile? Like that made you guys like, I guess you split the votes. You guys were questioning whether she had an idol, but it didn't, from the edit at least that we got, didn't you guys questioning like her story when she came back?
Yeah, she told us she found the idol there. Like after she played the idol, I think she told us she just had an idol clue. But it was after she played the idol, she goes, I found that at exile, which is not the case, right? She found she got the advantage instead. Yeah. So that's what she told us. And that's what I went with. I was like, all right, I believe you. That's what you must have found. But I think she's very good at hiding things.
You can see a clip of it in the episode that she returns to the tribe, but she kind of says like, oh, Alex was there. And she kind of gives like a bullshit story about
so that's why I was questioning. Right, that's why I was questioning like what actually happened and how did you guys react to it? Because it just seemed like it went too easy in the edit.
And go ahead, Kyle.
I was gonna say it's probably something. I'm sure we did take it serious. Like I know we had a lot of conversations about it. Like, can we trust what she said? And how do we go about doing this? But we didn't think Dresden had anything. That was the other thing. We did not think Dresden had an idol at all. So even if we put all the votes on.
Yeah, because you guys, I assume, were thinking he would have played it in the last at the Liska tribal if he had one.
Exactly. So if she's going to have one, probably should save it for herself because if she does play it on Dresden, there gets one of us out. If we lose again, she's going to be toast. So I think that was our logic in thinking that. And then, of course, then there was a wild double idol play that I got to witness.
So Kyle, my question for you is, when Matt goes home, what are you thinking? Like when Bennett and Kai vote out Matt, what was going on for you?
Yeah, and this is something that's going to trickle down. Like the Matt vote, I never understood. And at Merge, they tried telling me, they're like, Matt went crazy. Like we had to vote him out. And I was like, I don't buy that, right? Like all of a sudden, and this is jumping ahead a little bit, well, you can go back, but like at Merge, like I want to be tight with Kai and Bennett. I at the whole pre-merge or the whole swap, I'm like, I can't wait to get back with my blue. Then Matt gets voted out. And then I'm like, well, were you really that tight with him then? Like I thought we were all in a reliance with Matt. And then they were really close with Billy and TJ. And I did not like that. I didn't like that how the four of them were really tight and Matt was gone because Matt was somebody I felt really close with. So when I saw Matt leave, I was like, well, that's interesting. Maybe, Blue's screwed over there. They're all targeting Blue. And then I found out that wasn't the case at the merge.
Right. Well, the Blue tribe, I actually think did this weird thing where you guys managed to like lower your threat level it's very strange. And I think a really fascinating like way where a bunch of people are working towards the collective goal of like lowering the threat level, and then you and Andrea get all of the benefit from it, and Kai and Bennett get none of it.
And they did.
I also think, Kyle, I don't know if were you, when you reached like the merge, trying to throw challenges, were you doing anything to sort of seem less physical like in the later game, to sort of maybe keep because they basically, I feel like this is what happened. The whole merge, everybody looked at each other and went, you kind of have biceps. I think we should vote you out. And I think that's what they just did the whole first half of the merge.
I'd like to say I threw challenges. I did not.
Okay.
And I know like that memory one, I was the first one.
I was just going to say that was the funniest thing, because I don't even think I put it in yet. I know we're getting ahead, but you had made like some sort of comment about like how well you were doing in the challenge, and then that sequence came up, and then you had got it wrong, and you were like, "Oh, I guess I'm not doing so well here." It was the funniest.
I remember it vividly. I literally say, "Oh wow, we're all feeling really smart this morning," and then I was completely wrong on that one.
Yes.
Oh my god!
I mean, you started out the season like the first challenge with the grappling hooks. You like killed that challenge, but then it sort of went downhill from there.
I feel like Kyle's really good all around and a lot. It's just not memory.
Yeah. I'm I'm decent in puzzles, but I'm not like memory is not my forte. I'm good at like the carnival game stuff, right? Like that's when I did my challenges and everything. That's what I was good at. Yeah, I play a lot of cornhole and ladder ball, and I'm usually drunk when I'm doing it, so like that helps, right? So
nice.
When you're sober doing it, you're whiz. But I got all the grappling hook bags, and then even the digging pit, like that was just luck chance, but I got all of our tribes like tokens for that.
You were good at that. You were very good at that. But I want to get into the next round, which was you were selected as the tribe leader to make some important decisions. Can you talk about how you were the one selected and why you made those decisions?
Yeah, I'm an idiot, Chris. We're gonna preface this with I'm an idiot, right? Because I'm at that point, I'm like, you know what? I feel like I should step up because I didn't do anything the last challenge. Like Billy beat me on the beanbag knockdown, and I was like, I did nothing to contribute there. I was like, you know what? I'll step up for leader. Who does that? In Survivor, we want no attention, unnecessary attention. Why would you go, I'll volunteer to be leader? I don't know. I did. So then I get up there, and you're like, all right, you're going to vote 2 people off your tribe. I was like, you idiot. Because I made it so easy for everybody else on my tribe.
And it's so funny because like you just kind of go like, yeah, I'll do it. Like you just kind of take like, okay, let's do this. And it is so funny how quickly you and Billy are both just like, oh, fuck this. I knew you were gonna throw Dresden off this tribe as soon as you were picked. I knew it. But when it came to Paddock, and Paddock expresses in her podcast last week, she thought you were gonna keep her to vote her out if potentially. So for you, what was your decision-making process?
So, at that point, I was like, all right, since I thought we were merging at that point, and Chris played that really mean trick where he was like, well, drop your expectations. Just kidding. We're going to do this instead. So I was like, all right, well, then the next round has to be merged, right? Hopefully. So I was like, all right, we just have to win one more challenge. So at that point, I was like, look, I could. And then I didn't want to jeopardize myself either by voting off like Alejandra right into the other tribe. Because then I'm like, screw it, shooting myself in the foot. I couldn't get rid of Andrea. I had been with her at that point for too long. And I didn't want to jeopardize Davey either. So I was like, all right, I put Dresden over first. And then I had to think about it for a minute. I was like, who else could I really pick but Paddock? And then I'm like, well, at least maybe she'll think I'm doing this because I'm setting her up to, be with an alliance member. She could have an instant alliance over there. And that's how I pitched it. Like after when we got to talk, that's how I said it to her. I was like, look, it was a bad situation for me. I didn't know what to do. And this was the best alternative I could have had. I know people online were like, well, why didn't you keep somebody you could have easily voted out? Like, I didn't trust them, and I wanted to win. And I thought this was the best team I could get to win that immunity challenge.
Sure. And I think that it is a really strong team. Kristen has a great comment. Dilemma was super fun. I also thought people would keep an easy vote on their tribe. I didn't consider a joint double tribal. And yes, we stole this from Edge of Extinction. And I stole this from Game Changers. I guess we did as well. But I think what we wanted is kind of that drama that we had in Edge of Extinction that kind of went away because everyone was ready to vote out Big Wendy. Like we wanted these groups of people to be ready to sort of want a vote to happen, but like not have the numbers to necessarily do so, and sort of the chaos that ensues. And let me tell you, chaos ensued in this vote. Amy says she wanted drama,
she wanted drama,
and she got it. I mean, to be fair, Chris wants drama too. Well, actually, okay,
True.
Matt, before we talk to Kyle, I want to know your opinion on like the whole calamity of this vote.
Well, I mean, first, I love the idea. I mean, I Game Changers, I hated that Malcolm went up, but I loved like the whole idea of 2 tribes going to tribal council and voting on 1 person. But it was crazy. I had trouble figuring out what was going on with everyone talking to everyone. I tried to like keep notes on who was talking to who. So like I'm like reading it right now, and I have like and Andrea whispering to Jack, Davey whispering to Sarah, Paddock whispering to Dresden, Paddock whispering to Andrea, Paddock whispering to Kyle, etc. So it's just like trying to figure out what the hell was going on and like where this was going to end up. It was crazy, and I loved every minute of it.
And my favorite part of this is I think at one point Andrea just turns to like either like Jack or Dresden is just like, you want to talk? Like she just like looks over at somebody and is just like, what are you doing? You want to talk right now? And I love Andrea so much because she's always willing to just like make a joke in a weird moment where everybody else is panicked and stressed out.
But that's like her strength too, because hi Davey. That's her strength though too, because like it breaks the tension.
Yeah.
And that was something she was sneaky good at. Like she could break the tension easy.
But then I also like the whole, what was it? The Davey and Alejandro wanted to come in and like talk to Sarah, tell Sarah what happened with Emily F. Like they were trying to like tell about the last Double Idol tribal council. And it was like so many different things happening at once. It was just amazing to watch.
So I want to bring up a question. We talked about it in the last podcast with Paddock and Alex. They don't agree with Sarah telling the plan to Davey and Alejandro. What do you guys think? I mean, Kyle, I think you're very grateful because it saved your ass. But Matt, what do you think?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it depends on like so if Sarah's like still going back to like the original Pink Strong, and so if she wants to still work with Davey and Alejandro, then it does make sense to share the plan with them. If that's what her plan was moving forward, then yes, I agree that was the right thing to do. If she was planning to stick with the other side that she had been with Paddock and whoever on the Dresden and Liska, Liska's gone. Sorry, I forget what's going on in here. But no, then no, it's not the right idea. But if she was planning to work with, in terms of working with Alejandro and Davey, I thought that was the right move.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. That's a situation that's like I don't think you can ever play that situation perfectly, right? Like you have no idea what the other tribe's thinking. Especially with the way their tribe came together, we had no idea what they were, if they were going to get along. Our game plan going into it was literally Davey and Alejandro were like, we're going to just talk to Sarah. We had a good relationship with her from the beginning. And we're going to tell her how we're voting and to join us so we don't have to do a rock draw. And I was like, all right, that's our only play. Dresden and Paddock, we thought were just pissed at us because especially what just happened in the last round. So I was like, that our only play is to try to get Sarah and Jack to come on board. And we seemed confident in that. I felt confident in the plan.
Kyle, did Alejandro tell you that he was going to play it on you, or were you surprised until the moment he said your name?
Yeah, I was very surprised because he didn't have it then, right? He didn't have it until he went to vote. So I had no idea. Yeah, no, he gets up to play an idol, and I'm like, I actually thought I was like, oh my God, he's going to play it on like one of them or something. Like, I don't know. I didn't know what was happening. And then he goes, I'm playing this for you, Kyle. And I was like, you got to be shitting me, because I didn't think they were targeting me. And then sure enough, they did. And I was elated, but I was like, God, this is like something else. I was like, this is another situation. I was like, it makes so much sense for me to go home here. Like, who else are they going to target? They probably want to get rid of me right before the merge. I don't blame them. And, and they keep their alliance. They could try to form again with Alejandro and Davey, but I was blue. Why keep me at the end if, Kai and Ben are still in the other tribe? So it was like, it made so much sense to target me there. And I was like, I wish I realized that before.
Absolutely. And okay, Kyle, here's the other question is like, when they vote, did you know they were going to vote for you? Is my kind of thought process. It's like, did you think to yourself, it's going to be me this round? Or were you like, maybe it's me, maybe it's Davey? You know, like when you're going into this, who do you think is going to go home?
I thought they were going to target Andrea.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought that was safe for them, right? Like that, and that was somebody we wouldn't think they would target, right? We thought they'd target one of us, like me or Alejandro or Davey, right? But I really thought we were going to get away with convincing Sarah and Jack to come over, that we wouldn't even have to worry about where the other votes were going.
Mm-hmm.
So you see 5 votes for you. What is your initial thoughts? Were you like, holy shit, someone flipped on me from this 4, or did that not even process for you in that moment yet because of everything that was happening?
It processed. Like I definitely realized that there was an extra vote for me. But I was so elated to still be in the game at that point and like in love with Alejandro for saving me that I was like, I don't know what to make of any of this. And then, you know, the more you think about it and the more you talk about it, I'm like, I either thought it was Davey or Andrea. And then I came to the conclusion after talking with everybody that it was Andrea, and everybody else came under the conclusion was Andrea. She got the worst rap out of everybody. You know, she did not. Yeah, it's terrible. But like in my mind, you know, in that scenario, it made sense for me in my mind for her to want to flip, right? Because, all right, maybe I got to cut my ties. I thought maybe one of the other girls mentioned to her, hey, we're targeting Kyle. He's got to go. You want to keep yourself safe and not go to rocks. And I'm like, that's a pitch that if I was her, I would consider, right? Mm-hmm. You know, like where do I, and especially if she felt like, all right, these guys are broing out. Like, why would I want to stick with Kyle, Alejandro, and Davey when I could maybe join these girls and here's another route for me? So that was in my head. And I was like, and I didn't blame her for it. Like, I think after this vote, what is great for me that I'm able to do is just, you know, I recognize the move. I understand why you did it. I'm willing to bury it. Like I'm willing to put it in the past so we could move forward and work together. Like I wasn't going to hold it against Paddock. I wasn't going to hold it against Sarah. And I didn't hold that against Andrea either. That's not why I started voting for her later on. But I understood the move. So like when we came together as the 7, I spoke to Sarah about it. I spoke to Paddock about it. I obviously had the one talk with Andrea about it where I was like, you know, I understand why you guys did this. I'm willing to move forward. Like that was a tough situation that we got put in. You know, we all did the best we could. You didn't target me out of like necessity. It was you had to target somebody. It wasn't like you wanted to, maybe. I don't know what I was trying to tell myself at least. So I was like, we'll just move forward and see where we go from here.
Yes, I think that Kristen says Empathetic King. I think something that really sort of like changed my survivor perspective was this idea of, I forget who introduced it initially, but like sometimes you vote for somebody, but it's in your best interest to work with them going forward, and you just need to put aside all that bullshit and go with them. And I was very impressed, Kyle, at your ability to do that, especially with 3 people who just voted against you, feasibly 4, even though it was just 3.
Right.
And you really sort of put your trust into them in a spot where you could have easily just been like, you know what, I don't want to work with any of them anymore. And I think it's a really good sign of you as a player is that you were willing to do this. And it's not easy. You also had the nighttime to sort of recover and then get into the morning to the merge. How was that night phase for you?
I just remember being exhausted, right? Like I think everybody was, and everybody's running around looking for idols. And I'm trying to catch up with everybody I hadn't talked to in a while. Like I'm trying to tell Kai and Bennett everything that happened at that tribal council. Everyone's telling me that, oh yeah, Andrea was definitely the one that flipped on you. You know, I'm trying to look for idols too. I'm talking to Sarah. I'm talking to Paddock. I'm talking to everybody, right? Because I'm like, everybody's exchanging information. Nobody wanted to go to bed because nobody wanted to be the first one to go to bed at least. So it was just a lot of chaos in like the span of a couple hours before we all decided, all right, let's just all go to bed. We can all start in the morning.
Right.
When you go to bed, Kyle, is there a person that you had said to yourself like, okay, I think this is the person I would want to go home first? Or you didn't think of that yet?
No, I did. Because I did not like I was very intimidated, let's put it this way, of the relationship that Billy TJ had formed with Kai and Bennett. Because I thought they were going to be like the people I went back to, right? I thought for sure I was going to work with them. And then they were very tight with TJ and Billy. And like throughout that whole day, I was like constantly competing against TJ and Billy, right? Like I recognized those guys as the big threats on the opposing alliance or opposing tribe, right? So they were guys I didn't want to be in the merge with too long. So I didn't like how close they had gotten. And then obviously I just got saved by Alejandro. So I was like, I'm really indebted to this guy. You know, I can't just turn my back on him right now after he did that for me. I thought that would torpedo my game. So I think
I was going to say, like, the question is, like, you guys walk out of that challenge or out of the tribal going 7 strong. Did you believe that?
Yes and no. I didn't believe it until I got to talk to, you know, the other people in it. Like I trusted Davey and Alejandro would watch my back, you know. It wasn't until I got to talk to like Sarah and Paddock about it. That once I finally like felt that like, all right, we really are going to put that behind us, what happened. I was fine sticking with them for like 1 or 2 votes initially, right? I was like, all right, I do want to get out Billy and TJ because then I think that forces, you know, if the alliance that I have with Kai and Bennett to really not be over there, but come back towards me, right? So I was fine voting with them initially, and then things happened that just triggered it rolling the way it did.
So I guess sort of the caveat to these questions. So like at the start of the merge, at that point in time, who did you think you wanted to go to the final 3 with?
See, that's a tough question. I mean,
not Billy.
Not Billy. I love Billy now.
Oh,
Billy's great now. Yeah, and I feel bad. Billy was the one guy like I probably didn't have a great conversation with, you know, before he got voted out, and it was hard to. There was so many people to talk to at that point, and we had never played together at that point. So, but he's great. I mean, I did really trust Kai and Bennett. Like, I don't want to say that like I didn't. I really did. I really wanted to join back up with Blue. I also really, I mean, at that point, would consider going then with Andrea. You know, Sarah was somebody that I was like, I thought was my brilliant move. I was like, nobody's going to see me and Sarah working together. We didn't play together all game. I remember having a nice conversation with her night 0. So I was like, oh, well, I think this could be like my secret final 4, right? Like, I will make this with Sarah. If it works out for us, then great. We make it to the final 4. If not, then like, you know, we'll maybe we just don't vote again that way. But I was like, I got to set myself up to try to get there because at that point, to understand my mindset, again, I was skeeved out by what happened with the Matt vote. I got saved by an idol, so I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel that safe. And I didn't know how people were going to look at me at the merge. Mm-hmm. So my goal was to really just hide my threat level again, like which is what I had to do with the swap too. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to be seen as the guy that everybody would look at.
Kyle, did you realize how much power that you did have at that merge vote and probably the first 2 votes? I mean, I'm now seeing it all back. It really makes so much sense why TJ and Billy are the first 2 out because it really benefited you and Andrea, who were the 2 biggest swing votes. And I think Davey is also kind of part of that as well. Did you realize in that moment, though, that you could have basically gotten anybody out with just whatever you wanted?
I'm not sure if I could have gotten anybody out, but I definitely knew I was in the middle. Especially after that first challenge, once everybody started talking, I realized a lot of people were coming to me. And I was like, all right, I'm actually in a really good position. You know, we have this 7 alliance, buried the hatchet from the last vote. You know, I still feel really close with my Blue alliance. So like, I did feel like I was very much in the middle. And I knew at that vote, I wanted Billy or TJ out. And I wanted to show that at least to Alejandro and Davey, I was loyal. You know, you did save me for a reason. Let me repay that, right? And at the same time, I'm not voting out Kai or Bennett. I'm still kind of protecting them. So that was my goal out of that vote. And it did go the way I wanted it to go, right? Like everybody that I wanted to stay stayed. And I was in a good position after that.
Mm-hmm. Well, this merge was so much fun and so much chaos. And Kyle, your relationship with Kai like comes back full swing. Like you are, you're so separated from her for a lot of the second half of the game, or I should say the second half of the first day, and then you're back together. I want to know about that relationship a little bit more because you guys were a tight pair, sort of trusting each other, got separated. The Matt vote happens. Who the hell knows what goes on there? And then Kai kind of realizes that she's on the bottom and is looking to you to save her. What was that like for you?
I mean, I felt like very conflicted, right? Like I knew she wanted all the information out of me, and I was like, she has these really nice blue eyes that she can like look at you, and you just like, at least for me, like I couldn't, like I would just spill out everything. So like I didn't want to like lie to her. So I told her we were voting Billy. I did, but she at that point she was like really panicked because of what Paddock had said to her with people targeting her. And I'm like trying to tell her, look, it's not you. It's not going to be you. Like I wasn't going to let her get any votes there. Like I would have put up a fight if any blue got targeted right there. But I wouldn't. I was very protective of her then, right? Like I still really wanted to work with her. I still felt like she was probably still my number one. And I wasn't going to, let anything happen. But like I also like was like trying to still play both sides because I didn't want to like let myself be put in a bad situation because, I really trusted her.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Kyle, one of the most logical votes could have or maybe should have been Bennett, but we never hear his name come up in the first vote. And then you guys kind of used him in the second vote, as a split. Did you protect Bennett, or was that also kind of Davy's doing since that was his like close friend?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know they were friends at that point either, which is funny. So I think it's definitely a mix. Like I wasn't going to let any blue go, right? And I knew, even if I targeted Bennett, I actually didn't think Kaya then would trust me either, right? So I couldn't get rid of a blue there. So keeping Kai and Bennett close to me and safe was definitely a priority for me. Like they were never going to be targeted.
Well, I also think that this is like an interesting moment where you're trying to get like all of these people to essentially want to work with you, right? So it's Paddock wants to work with you, Sarah and Jack want to work with you, and then David and Alejandro, and you have Andrea with you. So you're trying to sort of cater to all of their needs and wants as alliance members. And in a lot of ways, I do think that the orange are the easiest ones to pick off in the beginning, but then it becomes your turn. And then it's like, hey, you need to vote out some people from blue or we're going to be mad at you. Like, it's such a weird swing of things. And lucky Kai keeps winning immunity.
Right.
But
yeah,
that can't go on forever. When you thought about flipping, Kyle, because I think you thought about flipping a lot in this instance, do you look back on the game and say, I should have flipped at this point in time? Or are you like, whatever happened, it's okay. It's fake Survivor. There's no prize at the end. What is it to you?
It's because I very much played to the spot I got, right? Like I played myself into a corner. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, I really did consider flipping. Like I was very serious about flipping, but I wasn't going to do it alone, right? And I really, like me and Davey, you kind of see it. Like we're really thinking about it. And if it's funny, I think that if either of them were like, look, we actually are friends to me, I would have been like, then let's just vote together. If you guys were actually friends, then I would have felt really good. I just didn't trust Davey was going to do it, right? And if he would have been like, oh, me and Bennett are friends, and knowing that information, I would have been like, all right, I'm 100% in, let's flip. And then I would have gone with them. But like, we never got it. And there was even moments of tribal council where me and Davey were like, keep looking at each other going, are we going to do it? Are we going to do it? Are we going to do it? And then deciding not to, right? Just deciding, let's just vote for who the group's voting for. I mean, there's the one tribal council too, where you see me get up and Sarah literally like yanks me down.
That's one of my favorite details to come out of like the postseason is that clip of like Sarah truly just like clutching your arm, like don't you even fucking think about it. And I do think to an extent that's what's so interesting about you and Davey is you're both like on the precipice of flipping, but both of you can neither really find the conviction to do it, and you don't trust the other to do it, and so nothing ever happens. It's a really fascinating kind of point in the game, and I think it's also proof that like LRGs are very difficult because you need to make split-second decisions that you can't sort of rebound from. Matt, I'm wondering if you had any thoughts on like the idea of flipping in this.
Well, I was going to say, I found myself also in a sort of similar scenario where in my season, at one point in time, one of my closest allies, Darren, was ready to flip and get out Alex. And I tried to talk to Mikey about potentially flipping, and then I'm not sure. I was ready to do it, but wasn't sure he was going to do it. So this at the final 7 when Nasa got voted out is where like we talked about flipping, but me and Mikey just couldn't get on the same page about whether we were going to do it or not. And then at the last second, Darren came up to us and like, let's do it. And there just wasn't enough time. So just in the similar scenario, like we didn't trust each other to like, get together and make the decision that each of us were going to do it. And so we just never flipped. So no, I definitely know what you're talking about, where like I thought about it and I really came close and I maybe should have done it at some point, but it just never happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, everything too, like in the situation, like everything Bennett was saying, we knew was true. Like Davey and I are like, yeah, we know, but like we flip and then say it doesn't work, God forbid. Right. Like we're screwed then. Like everybody else is going to be really pissed at us. Or if it does work, like where do we fall in the numbers, right? So it's such a risk to take, especially when you think you're solid in the 7. Like I thought I was pretty solid in the 7. I found myself in the middle of the 7 too. So I don't know if you guys watch The Boys where they always talk about the 7. That's always what makes me think of. But yeah,
oh my God. Oh no. Thank God this is almost over, because that just broke my brain. God damn it, Kyle.
So like I didn't know, like I felt still safe in there. So like I like at the end not flipping, I was like, I feel bad because I really like Bennett when he went home, but I didn't want to mess up my game at that point. And at that point too, like so something big does happen in between that, which is the lie, right? That Andrea comes up with.
Yep. And
that's the moment where I was like, all right, I can't really work with Bennett as much anymore because I kind of got lumped into this with Andrea. And that's the moment where I was like, all right, Andrea, like I'm going to go to bat for you here, but I don't love this. Right. And then, Bennett being the assertive player that he is, decides to like, all right, we're going to have a team meeting. We're going to like talk about this in the open. I'm like, this is the last thing I want right now.
I thought it was great. It was fun. I mean, I infamously created a fake alliance to fuck with someone on my season. So that
very true.
Yeah.
That was just great. That was just so funny to see you get lied to, and then you lied to him. It was a mess, but I love it.
Yeah.
And I also think what's so
funny
about this is that like Bennett like is so insistent on being very open with his communication. Like he is not holding anything back, which is, I think, a really interesting way to play being on the bottom. Because you just need to sort of like express yourself. And if people look at you and know exactly what you're thinking, they might want to work with you. But oh my God, Bennett will not let a single thing go. And it's why he's a perfect character. Like he's so funny on this season. It's so good.
Right. But yeah, exactly. Like he was very like, well, we're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to talk about it. And I'm like, I appreciate it. But, now you're putting me in a bad situation because, I'm still trying to play as many angles as I can here. And you putting me on the spot here is something that I can't have happen to me right now.
Right. The bottom has been gotten. It's just you're not.
Yeah, and I don't want to get lumped in with the bottom now, right? I don't want to get painted as this untrustworthy. Yeah, that was all right. Very poor choice of words to get. So anyway, I want
to. We almost made it the episode title. The like, I want to work deep with the pink.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Seriously, one of the funniest things ever. And I did like a screenshot. And I sent it to Naomi. I was like, "This is too funny. This is too funny."
Yeah, I was close to making it the episode title, but then I chickened out.
Maybe it's offensive. I don't know.
Okay. It was funny.
I want to play What If with you, Kyle. So, What if Kai wins that immunity at the final 8, and you guys have literally 2 minutes to vote? Who goes home in that situation? Did you think about it? Because it came down to Davey versus Kai in the final tiebreaker. Kai could have won. Do you think you would have been in trouble, or do you think Andrea would have been in trouble? What do you think?
Andrea, because that's who I would have gone to. And I know Davey we had talked about voting her out there. Actually, and in that vote, me and him do vote Andrea.
Correct.
So, yeah, I think she's the one that, I think everybody else in that alliance would have been like, all right, this is a panic vote. We got to vote out somebody. And I think she, unfortunately, would have been the target.
I agree. I think that Alejandro had it on his mind as well as Davey and you. And I think that Andrea, and this is, I think, the really interesting thing about Andrea as a player is this was the moment to vote her out. If you can't vote out Kai, who do you vote out? It's Andrea. And then it's no longer Andrea. You can't get anybody to vote for her because she's too good for other people's games to vote out. And it is like this perfect like moment where it's like, you could have got her, but you didn't. And now she's going like all the way. Kyle, I want to know for you, like, who did you want to sit with the 7 in the end with, and who were you at this point in time thinking this is who goes, this is who goes? Like, what's the order for you?
So at this point, I got, I think, a little blinded by Alejandro's, that he saved me. And then I didn't think I had a good resume, right? Like I was like, I need to make a move. And I think what hurts me here is actually like me really thinking that the only move I can make that's big is to turn on Alejandro. Because then I think that's ends up what's kind of screws me over. But like, again, I did feel very much in the middle of this alliance too. And I felt like if I made it to the end, ideally I was going to sit with either some combination of Sarah, Jack, and Andrea.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle, I want to know, how hard of a decision was it for you to vote Alejandro, knowing that he saved your game? Like, he's the reason why you got to stay in this game. Because, like, I know personal dilemma for myself. If someone played an idol on me, I probably would never vote them out. I probably would stupidly, but just like, that's just my own morals, take them as far as I possibly could go, because I feel like in debt to that person, unless I could pay them back, in the same regard. So like, what was your whole moral dilemma or, process in doing that?
Kyle, before you answer, to clarify, Kyle never voted out Alejandro. He voted out Alonso.
That's true.
that is true.
That was the moment I think I'm most embarrassed about. I just, you get so tired. And like at that moment, I was like, I forgot his name completely.
You also voted, I think you also voted for Alejandro too.
Oh yeah,
yes, I spelled Alejandro really wrong.
Yeah, no, that was bad. That was bad. Not my finest hour. I felt like I had returned the favor to an extent. Like I voted my closest blue allies out. Once Kai left for my game, I was like, all right, look, I got to go all in here, because like I had the people that I was close with early on are gone now, right? And I got to make moves. I want to play the end game, right? We're final 7. This is the end game. We're getting close to it. I want to make moves, and I want to really establish myself as a good player. And I saw the move of trying to take out Alejandro, the guy that did save me, but would hurt my game if I sat at the end with him as being my best move. The only problem was 4 other people in that alliance thought that was their best move too. So it was the easiest vote to like corral, because everybody wanted Alejandro on at that point.
Yeah.
So
go ahead, Matt.
I was saying, just to jump back to the final 8 tribal council, the touchy subjects challenge. So when you were voted out, you were voted the person everyone trusts the most. Did that surprise you? Did that worry you at all? Because I guess if you hear everyone trusts you the most, I guess that I would worry that people will start questioning, like, oh, if everyone's trusting him, then maybe I shouldn't be trusting him.
Yeah, I think it's funny because I think that was the only one I got, right? So Everybody else was getting all the higher accolade ones. That definitely went right to my head. I was like, oh, wow, I'm really trusted. So I could do whatever I want. Yeah. Everyone's going to trust me. But yeah, I didn't see it as that much of a threat, because like everybody else was getting, like Alejandro was getting most likely to win. Like, all right, other people are getting more threat level ones. I got the one that I was like, all right, I see my spot here now where I'm really valued by everybody that's left in the game. So I was like, I'm playing well. This is where I want to be. So now it's, do I go to I didn't think, and it's funny watching this all back now. It's like, I probably didn't need to vote Alejandro at 7. I could have maybe turned on him later if I needed to. And I didn't realize my likability could have got me votes at the end. I thought everybody's such a big fan of the game, and everybody here is playing so hard that I need to do something that's going to establish myself and show the player that I am. Because I want to win because I'm a good player. I don't want to just get to the end, be liked, and win. So that was also my other thing with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I also have to say that the relationships that you formed, Kyle, outside of OG Blue, I thought, and maybe I think Paddock has this to an extent, but you and Paddock were the best at forming relationships outside of your initial tribes and forming relationships that seemed to really stick. So you really got in there with Sarah and Jack and Davey and Alejandro, and they all really wanted to work with you. Who was the hardest vote to vote out? You're in such a tricky game was there a person where you're like, damn, this sucks? I mean, it felt like it was kind of Davey just because he was trying so hard, and it was like,
yeah,
I'm gonna vote you out now, guy.
No, I do. I felt bad about Davey. Alejandro, I think I blinded myself with the, I need to make a big move, and this is my big move. And I thought he would understand, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I did feel bad about that one too, because he did literally save me. But I do think a part of it, him saving me, was also a little bit, to show a big move for himself.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't about just keeping me because he liked me. It was also because, like, this is a move I can make. It's going to show something. It's going to bond us together. So, like, that's also the thought process I had. The Davey vote I did feel bad about, because he was somebody that I did consider keeping. But then, like, it's funny, like, that next round when he's like I didn't know about his advantage until that round.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I saw him telling everybody about it. So then I was like, well, I don't know how I can save you now. I do think it would have benefited my game to keep him, though. Like, I think once he's gone, then it's not good for me. But at that, like, round when I was like, all right, I have immunity here. I can try to maybe make some power moves and do something, but there was really little I could do. And Davey was unfortunately the only, like, big target left. And because of his advantage that he then showed everybody, I was like, well, we can't even play this now because everybody knows you have it.
You do bring up something that I think was really smart, and I'm surprised nobody jumped on it, which was you said to the group, we should split the vote on Paddock and somebody else because she has an idol. I feel like Andrea should have jumped on this. I feel like more people should have thought about this scenario, because Paddock fools you all into believing that she's going to play the idol. Then she doesn't play it, and now she's guaranteed a spot in the Final Four. And I looking back, wish maybe Davey had said, hey, maybe you guys should split the vote between Paddock and I, and then maybe something could have happened, or either she played the idol or she goes home.
Yeah, at least we flush it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. At that point, I was seeing how big of a threat Emily was, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, she was a huge threat. But I know the conversation you're talking about too, because I remember thinking to myself as I'm watching it, because I say something so stupid after that, where I was like, oh, because it's me and Davey talking, and I'm like, that girl scares me. We should get her out. And then Davey goes, well, I'll vote wherever. I just want it to be a tie. And I was like, well, who do you want? He goes, Jack. And I was like, all right, well, let me go ask Paddock if she wants to do that too. After I'm literally like, we should target her. So what am I was thinking at that point? But I don't know. I agree. Like, that, if there was a time to target her, it was then.
I thank you, Davey, but also I have to say that, like, again, the Davey going out round is one of my favorites, because it is like, it's like great Survivor, where somebody knows they're on their way out their door. They're just scrapping, and you're just watching your alliance turn on you. And people could make moves. They could do things that could maybe benefit their game. But everyone just kind of, at the end of the day, kind of looks at you and goes like, I'm not going to vote with you. But also, okay, there's some funky voting going on in this round, right, Chris? Am I misremembering? Like, we have...
No, not Davey's round that he goes home.
I'm pulling up the voting chart. Hang on.
Because Davey
he plays his advantage, but
Kyle, I also feel like this is the round that Andrea starts to really separate. I feel like you guys were together this whole game, but this is the round that I feel like I saw the glue just come undone, and like the two of you were no longer together. Did you feel that sort of?
Yeah, I actually felt that with everybody. Like, I felt good after voting out Alejandro. I felt good when I won immunity, but the second after that, we started strategizing. All of a sudden, nobody was talking to me that round. And there was like a moment where I'm standing by myself while people are off talking, and I'm watching Davey show his advantage to Sarah and Jack. But even then, I'm like, oh my God, like, I actually am not in a good spot now. Like, I thought I was going to be fine, and I thought I had a way in with, Sarah, Jack, and Andrea, but now I'm realizing that I don't have that. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, oh my God, so now I should probably try to save Davey, but then there was just no way to do that because everybody knew he had this advantage and everybody had come together to vote. Like, even if I voted with him, with his advantage, we still would have lost out in numbers.
Do you think there's any merit to trying to get Davey, you and Davey, to vote for Paddock? Maybe try and spook Paddock into playing her idol so that she is idol-less at Final Five.
Yeah.
An idol that you could have potentially found if we were not lazy and you hit it.
This is just so funny. But can I? Sorry, go. I have a question. No, you go first because I have a question that follows up to it.
I already forgot the question, so go ahead.
I'm sorry, Naomi. I don't even know.
It's not my podcast.
It's all of ours. Okay. I just want to say that final 5 rounds for you has to be, even though you were voted out, it has to be one of the best rounds I've ever seen. Like a player play, like you almost won immunity. Sucks you didn't win immunity, but you fought tooth and nail. And Paddock, I feel like almost really did play that idol on you. That tribal council, they were all like freaking out. And what a vote that should have just been a clear 4-1 against you was not that clear. And there was a lot of people like second guessing everything. So to your credit, like I was so impressed to see you make everyone second guess this vote and to almost make Paddock play the idol. She was in that voting booth for a good 2.5 minutes deciding whether or not she should play that idol, telling Alex about her whole dilemma and not knowing which way to go. And she ultimately, voted for you only because she thought if you won that final immunity, that she would be out and then you would win the game. So do you want to talk about that whole thing and then obviously the immunity challenge?
Sure. Yeah, we'll go to the challenge after because it's going to make me upset. How to phrase this well? While I thought at 6 I was losing everybody, I was like, oh my God, they're all forming their own alliances. They're not going to want me out if I don't win out from here on out, right? They're going to vote me out. I still had connections with them, right? Like I still felt really good with Sarah, and to an extent, I still felt good with Paddock. And once I lost, I was like, all right, well, how can I keep myself in this game? And one of them was like, Sarah, we had a Final 4 deal, right? It wasn't a Final 5 deal, it was a Final 4. So honestly, I should be trusting me here to keep me, right? But I just didn't. And then, she gave the moment. She was like, well, what's your pitch? And I'm like, well, we made a Final 4. So I was hoping that maybe she would side with me. We'd get out Andrea because I knew she wasn't going to turn on Jack. And then with Paddock, I was like, all right, my other angle to play here is, she's still a big threat. They could look at you and want to vote you out next. So if you play your idol on me, and my big pitch for it was, make me look really bad. If you think the jury really likes me and you want me there, or they want me to win, make me look really bad. I already got one idol played on me, a second idol on me. Well, all right. Well, I was telling her would make me look really bad. Well, in reality, if I made the finals with that way, I would have used that to my advantage. I would have been like, I had so many people trust me that I got 2 idols played on me, and I would have credited that to my social strategic game. So in the end, she probably made the better decision not playing it on me. But that was my pitch because I was like, you want to get to the end. I will go to the end with you. At that point, I was fine going to the end with her. I was fine going to the end with Sarah. You got to go to the end with somebody and you got to beat them. So it doesn't matter whichever one it is. And I thought I had a fair shot against either of them. So my ploy there was to try to get one of them to take me because I couldn't do it myself.
And you also did kind of get the girls' alliance out of the girls, and you were able to present that to Jack and kind of create paranoia with him too.
I'm going to say that was Jack. That was Jack.
Okay.
We're standing in line to go to tribal council, right? How you line us up and we march in. And we're not supposed to talk, but the girls were taking forever to catch up to us. So I turn around and Jack's standing there pacing. And I'm like, you okay, man? And he goes, no, dude, we're screwed. I'm like, why? And he's like, the girls have an all-girl alliance. They're going to vote me out after you. I was like, oh. Well, I was like, well, we could blow this up at tribal council. I wish you would have told me earlier. But we'll use this to our advantage. And that's what I tried to do. Also, I tried to get him to, speak on it. And I think it kind of worked because Paddock clearly didn't feel comfortable in it.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think that to an extent it is this interesting thing of it is an all-girls alliance. It is an all-girls alliance, but it's mostly to take you out and then keep Jack around. Matt, I want to know what you think of this Final 5 performance that Chris has hyped up so much. What did you think about the way Kyle played?
I thought it was great. I thought you played apps correctly. I mean, it's interesting because I was also in a situation. I was in my Final 5 tribal council. We had me, Alex, and Mikey all having idols.
Yep.
And Chantel had immunity, so Amy was begging us to one of us to play her idol on her. So she was in a situation trying to get us to play her idol on her. The problem was we wanted to do a Cerie situation. So her pleas just like fell on deaf ears because Alex and Chantel were voting for me, and me and Mikey were voting for Alex. So we each had to play our idols on ourselves because we knew that it just wouldn't work out. But I thought you played absolutely correctly, trying to get Paddock to play your idol. I thought if there was anyone that was going to do it just to create like chaos, it would have been Paddock, just for fun. So no, I thought you made a great case. It just didn't work out for you, but I thought it was great.
Yeah, I mean, and then it goes on to work well for Paddock. I mean, if it didn't, then I could have been like, well, that's the move that lost you the game. But she wins. She wins. So it's you can't blame her for it.
I just like how you throw the little. You guys voted me like most trustworthy at that like last like speech thing. I thought that was just cute and just like perfect.
You got to throw everything, all your cards out. You got to everything you have.
Kyle, my question for you is: you see the Final Four challenge? Do you think you would have been able to like? Okay, because you really hurt your back in Final Five, and you were like having a tough time holding it. That's why you kind of dropped. I would imagine that the running would not have been fun to do after hurting your back, and I feel like you wouldn't have been a big threat in this challenge unless you're really, really good at a number puzzle that Jack is already really, really good at.
That's what I actually thought I would have been fine in the physical part. I probably could have been the first back, but I was not solving that puzzle. I am terrible at math. Basic addition stumps me. Yeah, like I was no way I was solving that. And then back to that. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go. You go.
I was going to say back to that challenge. Like, we had been sleeping on air mattresses for like 2 days, right? Like, my back just cramped and I was spasming, and I just couldn't hold it any longer. And I was trying to find relief any way I could by moving it around. And you look too, I watched it back, and I'm like looking at the way Sarah's holding it compared to the way I'm holding it. And I'm like just all biceps, just like holding it. And she's got it like her arms anchored out, and she was holding it so much smarter than I was. And that's what it came down to. She was a great competitor. Like, I didn't mind losing to her because like she came in second on so many challenges that she deserved one. She was a fighter. So I mean, I wish I won that one. It haunts me to this day, but.
Well, I think we all thought that he was going to win it, right, Naomi? I think we were kind of like, on production-wise, we were like, oh my gosh, I think Kyle's about to win it and break this whole thing up.
I think we had a little bit of faith. But Kyle, something interesting that I had, because I was subtitling this challenge, there's this great moment where you are talking to Sarah, and you're like, should we go babysit Jack and Andrea? I'm wondering if you remember this and if you can talk more about like what you were trying to say to Sarah in this moment.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to get Sarah to drop because I knew she wasn't going to, right? Like, I knew she was going to be the toughest one to go against. And I was, at that moment, if I won immunity, I would have definitely gone to the end with Sarah, right? Like, I think we vote out Andrea or Jack. She probably won't let Jack go, so it's probably going to be Andrea. And then Final Four, we vote, if Paddock doesn't win immunity, we vote her out, right? Like, and then I'm in the end with Sarah and Jack. So like, without telling her that I want to take her to the Final Three, which is probably what I should have done, I was like, look, someone should watch Jack and Andrea, see what they're talking about, and just, let me win. I will take you. But like, she wanted to win, which is, I totally admire that. But I definitely would have taken her. Like, I would have kept her safe at 4. Like I would have taken her to 4, like we said, and then I probably would have taken her to the finals.
So Kyle, you get voted out. Now you have to face the people that are on the jury. Do you remember anything about those moments after being voted out and seeing Bennett and Kai and all of them? Like, did they say anything to you?
Yeah, I remember like Bennett was the first person. He came over and gave me like the biggest hug, and he's like, "You did so well. You like killed it." Everybody was very happy. Everybody was like, I got a really good reception, so I was very happy about that. And everybody was just excited to like talk game. And then like, Billy and TJ, like I hadn't really met, and we were just adversaries in game. They were excited to talk. Everybody was just really friendly. Like I had a very good jury experience. Like once I was out, I could tell people liked me. I could tell I actually made friends. And they were rooting for me. Like everybody was like, yeah, we would have been okay with a Kyle win. That would have been okay with us. And I was like, all right, would have been fine with me too.
So after that moment, did you have a person you were going to vote for in that moment, and did it change when you got to the voting booth?
Yeah, I was between Paddock and Sarah. They played just such different games, and I felt like kind of privileged because I got to see a lot of Sarah's post-merge game, right? And I think like I saw a lot of things that other people didn't see. Like I saw how good strategically she was. I thought she was playing a really great social game. You know, she was doing so well, not getting targeted and playing like under the radar that I really liked the way she was playing. And then Paddock, you know, I was there for all the advantages she found. I got on the other side of some of her idols that she played. Like I thought how flashy Paddock was, and a lot of things went in her favor. So I was like, all right, am I rewarding somebody at the end that, you know, they both played their hearts out, right? You can't take that away from either of them. But am I rewarding somebody that just like played such a wild, crazy game of Survivor? Or am I voting for basically the underdog who was really like behind the scenes of a lot of votes and was really loyal to a lot of people? And that's the route I went. Like I voted Sarah because of that. Like I liked her underdog story a little more than I liked Paddock's. And I actually thought Paddock was going to win. So I was like, or at least Sarah will maybe get second. I did not expect the vote to be as close as it was. I was really shocked when that came down to a tie.
Well, Kyle, the question I have is like, well, actually, I was just going to say, I think it's funny because if Paddock's advantages go exactly the way she wants them, you go home and you don't get to vote for somebody on the jury.
Exactly. Yeah.
And instead, it's maybe a Paddock win because Dresden makes it to the jury. Matt, did you think it was going to be a tie?
No, I was shocked as well. Like I was not expecting that. I thought Paddock was gonna have like not a unanimous vote. I did think Sarah would be I thought it was gonna be close, but not as close as it was.
Yeah. And Kyle, yeah. I totally agree. I think you highlighted a lot of points in Sarah's game. Matt, who would you have voted for? Would you have voted for Andrea, Jack, Sarah, Paddock?
I mean, I think I would have voted for Paddock. I mean, I know I love Emily, so but it's like from her, but I loved her game too. Like I just thought that she, I liked her alliance with Sarah. That I thought she was driving the votes like for this. But again, I'm watching it from having watched the episodes, not from being there. So I completely get what Kyle is saying. Like from working with Sarah and like seeing and understanding seeing her stuff behind the scenes and like but I definitely get voting for the underdog story, but like from a viewer standpoint I would have voted for Emily.
Yeah, I mean it was tough. They both were very good. Like
yeah, they were both great.
Win. Yeah.
Kyle, were you surprised when you learned that Paddock had a vote doubler and that Andrea didn't vote for you? Like was that really shocking?
It was. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, it was. I was because then I was like, well, I felt really bad. I remember looking immediately at Andrea and I was like, I'm so sorry. Yeah, because like she got blamed for it all, and I was like, oh, I mean, it was well, I didn't know if it was that designed. That's the only thing. Like, I think it was like definitely like a fallout of what happened, and then just people let it like Paddock just let it happen. She was like, oh, this could benefit me, so I'm just gonna let this ball roll.
Did the thought ever cross your mind during the game that it could have been some sort of double vote or like, especially like when Davey had an extra vote? Did you like, oh, maybe there was an extra vote back then too?
Well, I guess at that point I'm like, well, everybody had advantages. I'm like, and nobody. That was the one thing. Like, I felt close with a lot of people, but not a lot of people told me what they had. Right, like Paddock found everything in the open. I didn't know about Davey's advantage until 6, right. And I didn't think I really knew about any other like advantages in the game. Like nobody shared idol clues with me, like I shared at the beginning. Like when Davey and Alejandro found the idol, like I didn't know that. Like I didn't know they had a clue for it. Which at that point I understood why I wasn't told that, but that's one thing that I'm like, as close as I was with people, my relationships were very like social, but then I guess they're strategic. I mean, I went into this game like trying to downplay that my strategy. Like I was like, I'm just gonna make everybody think I'm this like dumb bro that just wants to like have fun, go hard at challenges and like party or something. And and I think it worked because everyone like I think really underestimated me at a lot of points. But then I think it also kind of did, counteracted some of my stronger points too.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Like everyone has like that sort of like, are they the gamer? Are they the geek? But I love that you were the surfer bro Like, Survivor has that, like, in Devon and, like, Gavin type of thing.
I called you the
Love
beach
it.
bum, I think is how I described you in my notes. Like, and it always made me laugh because it's such a laid back energy, but it's what makes people want to hang out with you is that you're like, well, we're just going to chill on the beach. You, like, literally told me, you're like, I go to the beach every day. And I was like, okay. Like,
yeah, I live 6 blocks from the beach right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Every day.
I have a few questions. One is, did you ever think about voting for Jack? And then 2 is, we didn't really even talk about the Final Four. First of all, we have a Final Four tie expert here in Matt, although not a tiebreaker expert. But I guess the first question, Kyle, is how did you feel watching Jack make his decision to kind of flip it around? Like, what was going through your mind during this whole thing?
He's a wild card. Jack's a wild card. Yeah. You know what? Jack was the one person that I felt throughout the game that I didn't bond with appropriately, right? Like, I just always assumed he was going to do whatever Sarah did. And I think that's looking back at a flaw in my game is, I didn't bond with Jack that much. Like, we were in alliance together and we only ever talked strategy or like whatever we were in a group. Like, we rarely talked by ourselves. So I was like, maybe if I got to Jack sooner too, that's something that would have changed some outcomes. But he's a wild. It baffled me why he turned on Sarah initially, and then it made sense to me. I'm like, well, this is his move. This is his, the throning of Alejandro with what I did. This is him standing out for himself, and I respected it. But at that point, I think it was like a little too late for him with just the other people he was at the end with. I mean, that rock draw could have gone anyway too. Like, but I still think either Sarah or Paddock is making it, and they're both beating him.
But Kyle, would you have ever voted for Andrea to win over anybody? You knew her game the best.
I did, but I don't think so. Only because it depends who she was at the end with. But I was at the lie, right? Like, I got the worst end of that lie, right? Like, arguably maybe Bennett, but I had to really go to bat for that lie that I didn't agree with and I didn't think she should have told, but it only because it hurt me in the end. I don't know. I probably would have considered it for sure, just because out of loyalty. She was until I got voted out, she was a very loyal player. Even through the merge, she was always telling me what was going on, and I was always updating her what was going on. I think our trust was waning as the merge went on, but we still were very upfront with each other about what we were doing. So I would have considered it as a loyal ally. Like, I would have considered voting for her in that aspect.
Matt, I have a question for you really quick. I want to, can you do, for my own personal enjoyment, a final 5 of season 2? Who would you say is each person? Like, who would you say would be you? Who would be Alex? Who would be Chantal? Who would be Mikey? And who would be the Amy?
Okay, so Jack is Chantal. So that's my
I'm calling Chantal right now.
You're
going to tell her.
Well, no, I say the reason I say that is because obviously Jack's winning the fight immunity in that spot, and then I guess Chantal and Jack were also, Jack was following Sarah as from what we see, and Chantal was following Alex. So that's sort of where I see that.
I see that.
Okay, who else? Okay.
What about Kyle? Wait.
That's what I'm. So I got to place Alex, myself, Mikey.
I think you and Kyle are very similar.
That's what I say. I'm Kyle. I think I'm Kyle.
I think
Kyle's me.
One of my favorite stories is that Matt's online handle is like charging Rhino, and when he explained it to me, what is it about that you just get like really belligerent and competitive sometimes?
Yeah, so the genesis of that name is in college. I was playing intramural dodgeball, and I got into an argument with the ref over a call, and I drunkenly charged the referee. And my fraternity brother said I looked like a rhino charging him.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
Yeah, so that's how the name is. Who else? So Alex. I guess I have to put Paddock and Alex. Paddock.
I think Paddock and Mikey are a little similar. They're both so sort of forward, but maybe Mikey is like Andrea in some ways, where they're like so
no,
forward,
Amy and Andrea are like
Amy and that was Amy and Andrea.
I can see that.
Kindred spirits. I think Paddock can go either way for Mikey or Alex. I think she has characteristics of both in her. Definitely the sassy confessionals are Paddock and Mikey.
Love it
for sure. Did I leave someone out?
Well,
I think you got everybody.
Alex then?
Yeah.
Sarah would be Alex.
Sarah would be Alex in this moment as well. Then.
Yeah, I wouldn't put Sarah as Mikey. It's really Paddock. If I have to like give one person each, it's Paddock as Mikey and Sarah as Alex.
So Matt, what did you think of this tie at Final Four? Like, and how it was different to your season?
So in my season, we went in. Obviously, Chantel has immunity, and so I'm aligned with Mikey and Alex. Alex is aligned with Chantel, really, and so I had to convince Mike, and I knew Alex was never going to vote. Alex was never going to vote for Mikey, and Alex thought Mikey was never going to vote for Alex. But I was, as I said, I've been talking with Mikey the whole time about finding the right time to flip on Alex. So I'm like, okay, this is the last time to do it. Let's flip. You need to flip on Alex. So I got Mikey. So I was positive it was going to be a tie. What I tried to do is then appeal to Chantel to make the what you were saying about Jack having to make the move against Sarah. I was like, look, you've been like behind. Alex has been doing everything. I love Chantel. Alex drags you to the finale, and she's like, yeah, I know that. And I'm like, okay, it's time for you to make your move. Flip, join us, vote out Alex. You're going to go to the final with the two of us. People hate Mikey because Mikey was rude to them. And I know Dan hates me, and Dan is loud. So I thought that Dan would convince the people not to vote for me. So that was the pitch that I was trying to make. Like, me and Mikey would be hated. Come join us. You need to make a move. And obviously, it ended up with a tie for me, too. So I like the initiative to try to like get out like the person that you needed to get out because you need a resume for making a big move. And it didn't work for me. I forced a tie, but I could not get far enough as I wanted. But so I like the tie. It's like it's the move to make, I think, there for Jack, and I don't know, I like it.
Matt, I just want to say your idol find in season 2 is still talked about conversation because I tease Ben about it all the time because he found it, and I'm like, how can you just give that up to somebody? So
the funniest part about that was that I was sitting out that challenge. So so they find the clue in the idol, and Ben shares it with our alliance, which I think I was probably at the bottom end anyways. I think I was the last person like brought into the alliance. And we go to the challenge, and I'm sitting out because I'm exhausted from the challenge before.
Right,
I had to run back and forth. Yeah. And I just walk up and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go grab the idol and walk away.
It's like a Dresden move. Dresden did the same thing.
But Liza and Ben just don't do anything. They're like, okay, I guess Matt gets to have it. We found it, but Matt gets to just have it. So that brings me to my favorite, more recent idol finds. Kyle, what do you think about the tree moment with Paddock?
Oh my god, that was so funny. I think I even like mentioned it later on. I'm like, Paddock's great at finding idols and falling out of trees.
You do mention that.
It was funny because like we all get to this tree, right? And like I was like, there's no way somebody's found it. Like and then like Paddock's halfway up the tree, and I'm like, do you have it? And she's like not answering that she has it or not. And I'm like, well, do you want somebody up there to help you? No. And then she kind of like starts climbing down, but I thought she had it at that point. So I walked away. I was like, all right, you just have it. I'll make sure I know who has it, but I'm not going to like get involved.
Did you see how close Kai was to grabbing it?
Yeah, and I wish she grabbed it because then she would have been safe.
Okay, Naomi, do you remember what I sent you of Kyle? I sent it to you like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago before the finale. It was like a really funny moment of Kyle to the camera to Jessica.
Oh, shoot. What was it?
Okay, I'm going to play it. Hopefully you guys can, I don't know if you guys can
I think I know what it is.
Do I have to take my headphones out for like you guys to hear it?
No. Just play it near your headphones.
Put it near my headphones?
Yeah, because that has your microphone.
All right. Well, I have to play the audio. I have to put like this to the screen, obviously, too. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Crank up the volume.
You know what?
Was I on jury?
I'm gonna send it to the chat, and then you guys.
Send it to me on Facebook, and I think I can probably share it from there.
I'm gonna send it to the group that we're in right now, and then I'm gonna play the audio because I just think the audio is just so funny. So you guys can all see it.
I'm excited.
I can't wait. Hit play, Chris. Come on.
Okay, I'm coming.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know what it is. I remember doing it.
Okay.
New York, season 4. Single Kyle from season 4 of Survivor New York. I like to win challenges sometimes. Make dumb moves and look good on the jury. Put me on the DVD cover right in the center. That'll look good. Could you move tight and get their reaction?
Oh my God, Kai's face.
Oh my God.
I was feeling myself.
That was so funny.
My Bachelor audition.
Yeah, so I'll post that on like our Instagram story. Follow us at Survivor New York. But Kyle is on the jury and he's basically just talking to our tribal council camera. Shout out to Jess. And like is just really serving it after he changed it to his nice button down and he said, "It's time for me to become the next Bachelor."
This is gonna blow your mind.
You look so good. You look so good.
This is gonna blow your mind because it's like weirdly like close in timing. So if you go watch Winners at War and you watch Wendell on Tribal Council, like one of the episodes when he's on jury, he's wearing the exact same shirt. And that summer, I think they had just finished filming Winners at War. So at the same time, me and Wendell were wearing the same shirt. We're close to it.
Oh, really? That's so funny.
I just remember watching Winners at War and seeing that shirt, and I'm like, I have that shirt, and I wore it on the jury.
Well, do you still have that shirt?
I do somewhere, yeah.
Okay.
I do somewhere.
Yes, I remember like the jury was like welcoming you with open arms. Like I felt like you were like an Aussie in a lot of ways in that moment where like the jury was like, "Oh no, Kyle!" Like they didn't want you to join them out of all people, which I always love to see when like the jury is just like, "This is who we were rooting for." Because I really do think, Kyle, that they were like you were number one in sort of the list of people they wanted to see win the game.
I think especially after Davey left, yeah,
it was hard. Matt, anything else that you have on your mind that you want to talk about? Like we've been going for over an hour and a half. I forget what the longest episode of this podcast.
Oh, this is great.
I'm having a blast.
I'm trying to think. I think we covered everything.
Did you took notes on this whole season?
I went back and this last week and like watched like every tribal council that Kyle went to and some of the pre-merge like tribe scenes when he didn't go to tribe. I like skimmed through episodes. Yeah. So
Matt, do you live in New York still, or you moved, right?
I'm in Atlanta now.
Atlanta. Oh yeah, you were like from there originally, I believe, right?
My side of the family's from down here. Yeah.
Really quickly, to both of you. So you go first.
I said pre-COVID, I was coming up to New York once a quarter. So I'll wait to probably do that.
I remember I saw you at the finale for Edge of Extinction, I think it was.
That was quite the night.
We saw each other at some bar. I can't remember. It was so long ago. So both of you, if I call you to play again, what is your answer? That's the next question.
Answer is yes.
Yes.
I'll be on a plane.
All right.
I'm shocked. Kyle, what about you? Would you play again?
Yeah, I would. Absolutely. If Chris calls, I'm coming back. Yeah, I'd love to. I didn't win, like I did a lot of other things, but me and Matt didn't win. So we got to come back and try to
redemption.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kyle, would you ever do like another one of these again that is not Survivor New York? Like, is that bug still there for you? Do you want to do more of the survival element? Do you want to just play more challenges? Like, what is it for you? Have you thought about playing more?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I've definitely looked into doing some other ones. There's a lot of people that try to play now. It's tough to cast. There's a lot of people. The community's huge now.
I know.
Yeah.
Live reality games is over like 1,000 people, and it seems like
Crazy.
every day. So I'm a moderator. Every day somebody new joins, and like somebody is added. It's just crazy how big this community grows. And first of all, I think we just have to give a shout out to Live Reality Games, the podcast network, because they let us do this every freaking week. And it takes a lot of effort, but it's because there's such a big audience for it now. It's crazy. Kyle, did people reach out to you? Like, did they say that they liked you on the season? I mean, we know you had some fans over at Survivor Cast International, but like, did people try to reach out and tell you good job?
Oh my God, I love Jacqueline and Cody. Yeah, they were my best friends. Yeah, I've had a couple people reach out to me that are just in the community that said they were fans of me, which has been nice. Which is weird because I'm like, you're the same level I am, like this. We play the same games. I don't know why, you're my fan, but yeah, I've had a couple people reach out.
Oh, that reminds me to tell you, Chris, that so I got to see Queen Sarah at the Survivor New York premiere, or the Survivor premiere, and Sarah had gone to the Bryce and Wendell event, and she was like, people came up to me and were like, I know you from Survivor New York, like you did a great job. Like, that's people wild. Are watching and going up to other people at the bar. Well, first of all, DM me. We're watching Survivor every week in Manhattan, but people wanted to talk to Sarah about it. It's crazy, like just the amount of people.
That's so cool. That's really cool. I love that.
I think
that's actually
it speaks to how. Oh, sorry, Matt. Go ahead, man.
That's how I met Liska actually at the Survivor. What was it? Survivor Rob has a podcast, Know It Alls in Philadelphia. I met years before season 4. I met Liska there because we were talking to her about Survivor season 2, which had just aired or was airing at the time. I'm not sure if it was over yet.
That's wild.
Yeah, what a time that was. I almost went to that. In retrospect, I really should have. Kyle, I think it's wild, but I also think that like you, every single cast member, and I think you particularly brought a lot of joy to this season and a lot of positivity. And that's what I love about Fake Survivor is when it's always fun, but that's something that I think you excel at is making things fun. And it was like such a treat to have you play on this season. And I'm so glad you did in the first place.
Oh, no, thanks for having me. I was so pumped. I was just so excited to be there. Like prior to this, like the only time I played Survivor or did like the challenges, like I said, was when I set them up. So getting to come there and not have to do that and just get to play in a game that was so well produced and just I never knew what was the next. I always knew what was happening next whenever I did it. So not knowing what the next challenge was going to be or what the next round was going to be or the twist, like was so entertaining and it was just so fun. That like I was so blessed to make it as far as I did because I got to really experience everything. The only thing I didn't get to do is preach my case at Final Tribal, which hopefully next time. But like that's it, I got to experience it all, so I really loved it. You did an amazing job, and that's what you're the people you casted. Like this was such a good cast that there was no duds. Everybody was a good player that came to win, and it was hard. It was a hard season. Like that, I'm sure that comes off in the edits too. Like everybody was playing really hard.
Definitely.
Matt, did you have? First of all, I love that I can see your dog behind you.
Yeah,
is that what that is?
I love
hi, Colby.
Oh, there he is.
I remember when your dog was like a baby.
Yep.
Oh, Matt, did you have another? Like, do you have a favorite player from this season? You don't have to say Kyle, but like,
why is it me? Yeah.
Who jumped out to you from the season as someone you would want to see play again?
So I came in knowing a lot of the cast. So it's just the start. I started first watching the season. I was studying so I knew like Paddock, I knew Liska, I knew Billy, a bunch of people from playing Mafia games. It's funny, I knew TJ, but I knew TJ when I knew TJ, he went by Tom instead of TJ, so I didn't know who when we kept referring to who TJ was. I had to figure that out at first.
Who the hell is Tom?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I knew Kai, so I was like, I'm very excited to like watch a bunch of different people. I think I was most excited to see. I had never watched Paddock before, and I met her at another Know It Alls right after this season of season 4 had filmed. So I was very excited to go in watching. I knew she had won, so I was excited to like see how it actually happened. So I went and kind of like I've heard about her in Buffalo and all the other games that she played. So I went and kind of excited to watch that, and I loved Kyle too.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. You know. Okay, Kyle, Chris, we didn't ask this. I think it's time for your hard-hitting question. That was something that was brought up in the Emily episode. Do you know what I'm talking about, Chris?
No.
Okay, Kyle, I don't know if you watched the Emily podcast. Emily claims that you had a crush on Sarah, and that's why you voted for her
my God.
council. I have to say, I don't know
Yes.
where this is coming from. What do you say to this statement from Emily Paddock?
No, I did not have. Sarah's a wonderful girl. I did not have a crush on Sarah. I had a crush on one person. Everybody knows who it was. And that was it. No, it was not Sarah. Sarah's great though. I told you why I voted for her to win, but it was not because I had a crush on her.
I thought so, and that's why I give you the opportunity now to say your piece.
I will always stand Kai and Kyle. Like, I will be 70 years old, and I'll still be saying, I wonder if Kai and Kyle could still be a thing. Like, I will always... Kai squared. We need T-shirts.
It's true, and I also I love that. So some people didn't know that this season was filmed pre-COVID, and I think when you see how close Kyle and Kai get sometimes, you know that this season was not filmed pre-COVID because they're like right here.
Them by the gate is one of my favorite, like, top 20 moments.
Hilarious.
Just that intensity, so good. So
what a
good.
great
She made it very tough to not want to work with her.
Winner of Survivor Brooklyn South too.
Yeah, she won for a reason. Yeah.
Well, guys.
No. Whenever I try to work with Kai, I always find her suspicious in Mafia. So Kai's in the Mafia, but besides that, I love Kai.
Oh no.
Same.
Well, besides that, Kyle, I hope that we get to see you. I hope you come watch Survivor with us soon. Guys, thank you for being here. I think this might be the longest episode.
Yes, I won something. Yeah.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. And I just have to say that the Andrea interview will be 9 p.m. at Saturday. So that's going to be really fun. Tune into that with Dr. Stan as our special guest. Of course, we had to have the doctor. But guys, thank you for being here. Like, I love catching up with you. And it was so much fun to talk about everything from the Kyle perspective. Everyone was dying to know Kyle.
The Kyle perspective is always unique. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, don't forget that you can follow us on Instagram, subscribe to us on YouTube. Keep your eyes peeled because Chris and I, we're full of great ideas. So maybe you want to tune in to our Survivor New York viewer group or to our Instagram because things are brewing and you should keep your eyes peeled. But other than that, thank you guys so much for being here. And thank you for watching, everybody. Have a good night.